I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. A Democrat is going to be elected in 2028. You know that. I know that. The Democratic president is going to announce a special transition advisory committee on the reform of the Supreme Court.
What do you think about that? Do you think that'll happen?
That's the president's warning on a filibuster. He's telling Republicans, do it now, change it now, because his warning is this is what Democrats are going to do, blow up the filibuster, change the number on the court, do the whole thing. There are a number of Democrat voices the last few years who have been saying this prominently. It's not just James Carville. We think about former Attorney General Eric Holder. A number of sitting lawmakers have said they want to change the makeup of the court. It's something I asked Justice Barrett about in a recent interview, and she said, listen, a lot of this stuff is set by the Constitution, but not all of it. Right. But judges should be free to do their jobs without worrying about political interventions.
So if the president's saying Democrats are going to blow up the filibuster if they win back Congress anyways, so Republicans might as well do it now, get the shutdown over with, and use it while you can.
Exactly. But as Senate Majority Leader John Thune said, the votes aren't there in my caucus. They all know what it's like to be on the minority and to only have that filibuster as your only tool, and they don't seem willing to give it up.
Hi, hello, how do you do? Today we're going to talk about Kamala Harris. In an unhinged rant, which I think she was drunk in, she has a full mask off moment. Because if you know, Democrats, all they do is lie. But if you listen to them long enough, they always tell the truth in it. They always blurt out the truth by mistake, or a Floridian slip if you want to say it. Which, if you listen to them long enough, you'll eventually realize what they want. What she wants is full-blown authoritarianism, where she wants to, abolish the Electoral College, pack the Supreme Court, and make Puerto Rico states, which do nothing. They're not doing anything to help America. That's just pure a paragraph. Because both of these do. Getting rid of the Electoral College, basically making it so that is mob rule. Because think about it. If it was, which by the way, Trump won the popular vote, so even without the Electoral College, they still would have lost. But if they got rid of the Electoral College, back off from keeping it from mob rule, it would be like whoever's favorite person becomes president, which means they'll have nothing to do on policy, which will do nothing but hurt the president. They think that would be a power grab. Packing the Supreme Court would end the judiciary in making it nothing more than a banana state, a banana republic, which will absolutely kill any real form of jury in this country. And making Puerto Rico and D.C. a state would do nothing but just give Democrats more senators. Yeah, all of this is just nothing but a power grab, because all they care about is power and control. That's all they care about, power and control. And when she reads by being heard by ethics, blah, 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 that just means being attacked or jailed for not voting a certain way. Yeah, they want full-blown communism, which makes sense because that is what she ran off of. Remember unrealized capital gains? Yeah, the same thing Nixon tried. Yeah, that's communist. That's socialism. But yeah, here we go. But she goes on an unhinged rant and say what they really want.
Say, look, this is a moment where there are no bad ideas. A no bad idea brainstorm is what I'd like to call it. And in that no bad ideas brainstorm, we talk about what we need to do and think about doing around the Electoral College. We talk about the idea of Supreme Court reform, which includes expanding the Supreme Court. We invite a conversation about multi-members districts. We talk about, look, that if we win the Senate, which we should and we will, then the Senate Judiciary Committee should have rules that they put in place so when these people come before as nominees to the Supreme Court and lie, that they are held to account and consequence. Not just that somebody goes on cable news and says they lied, but that there are rules in place to actually penalize people for lying to a Senate Judiciary Committee. That we agree that it is right to have ethics rules for Supreme Court justices. And let's put those in place. Let's talk about statehood for Puerto Rico and D.C. These are the things I think that we've got to do. We've got to neutralize these red states from cheating, including blue states expanding their maps. And all of this, I think, is look, we got to fight fire with fire. These folks are playing to win. We got to play to win.
Yep, and you have to believe this woman when you hear what comes out of her mouth. Which is honestly hard to understand, I get, because she's drunk most of the time. I mean, like, I think the last 3 or 4 videos that she put online, she's been drunk. And I'm just curious, where's her husband kicking her off the computer? I mean, Christ. Like, if I was her husband, I'd tell her, honey, you're not allowed on the computer anymore. You're always drunk or loaded or something, and you look stupid. But yeah, she's just pulling out the Communist Manifesto that the Democrats are. Don't forget, James Carville said the exact same thing not that long ago. And before anyone say, no, this isn't communism, this is okay, especially if they vote for it. No, it's communism. Like, let's be honest. The left, they're not just socialists anymore. They're full-blown communists. And it is no, I'm going to be upfront. Communism and socialism don't work. It took more lives than fascism under Hitler's regime. And you would just end up starving. I mean, look at all the liberal cities.
And their historical outcomes
look at them.
are often intense, as the
I mean, come on, look at them. They're all just terrible. They're all run down. It's like end of empire vibes. They're all third world S-holes. And before you say no, they're not going to communism, don't take my word from it. Take a word from a Democrat Lily in the party himself, John Fetterman.
And people that are proud to be labeled as a socialist. That used to be was a smear when I was running my first cycle, and now that's becoming more normalized. And now I think that's a very dangerous, slippery slope for us to be. And now I've spoke to people that had to live under socialism and or communism, and they are morons if they think that socialism is the answer. You know, I've lived under that, and thank God we are now.
We already have a great deal of socialism, and I've made the point a million times on the show, as we should. All Western democracies are quasi-socialist. There are certain things that the government should do. You don't want the private enterprise to be controlling the Marine Corps, and we need Social Security and Medicare, Medicaid. Obviously, these things, we have socialism. They're just proposing something way more than that. And by the way, you said socialism, dirty word? Yeah, yes and no. What really was a dirty word, which isn't anymore, is communism.
Yeah.
I mean, this woman in New York who is Mayor Mondami's right-hand woman, she tweets out, elect more communists. This guy, Graham Plattner,
yeah, it's not a slur if I refer to him as a communist. That's his own term that he used for himself.
Yes.
Antifa and these other kinds of extreme things. Now that's his own words. That's not my view, and I'm not using that as a slur.
But the idea that communist is not a dirty word, I think we need to pause here and say, okay, this is a watermark. This is a watershed mark, a moment in American history where we should pay attention. And my guess is, because AI is going to be taking everybody's jobs, communism is only going to get more popular.
Well, I sure hope not.
How big of a threat do you think this communist movement is?
Well, I mean, there's that phrase where terrible or bad ideas refuse to die. And it's very sad to see that kind of things being revisited in this kind of way. And a lot of these, these terrible groups like Code Pink and a lot of the other ones that are strongly aligned to the CCP, without a doubt, they're being financed. I mean, it's ironic. I mean, these kinds of protests are being funded by billionaires against billionaires. I mean, I don't know if they realize the irony in many of those things right now. And now there is kind of a small communist takeover in Maine. You know, Plattner, he's already announced that he's an avowed communist. He's made that statement and he put that online. Now he's going to be the Democratic nominee. So there is a resurgence about the socialism, and that's becoming more and more part of it. And now there's more. It's like a marriage of the Palestinian, the anti-ICE, the abolish ICE, and now turning it in to like an orgy of socialism here. And that's sad, because it's supposed to be about labor, like unions. I'm a proud pro-union Democrat, but the kinds of mess that you see are showing up in many of them. I mean, that is the worst impulses that our party continues. We just can't resist those things.
See, You heard it from their mouths. And this is another reason why we can never, ever, ever let these people back in power, because it will just be the Third Reich 2.0. Let's be honest. The Democrats are fascist. They're authoritarian. And they will put down humans. If they become, ever get that power, they're going to put down Americans with force. They're going to use force. And that would just lead to nothing but a big civil conflict. Yeah, and to end this, I like to go through the Bible, which really does make sense about Kamala Harris. Sins of Jerusalem, move over. The word of the Lord. Come to me, saying, now, Son of man, you will be judged. You will judge the bloody city. Yes, show her all her abominations. Thus say the Lord. Thank you. This has been Navigator. Please come back again soon and see you next time. Goodbye.